possible. So please interrupt me, put questions in the chat. John can let me know when they're in there. I will stop, answer any questions, and I want it to be as interactive as we possibly can make it. So please interrupt, and let's have some fun with this today and learn as much as we can in this hour. All right. So what we're first going to do is just kind of go over real quick what we're kind of trying to accomplish in these 4 weeks. We're trying to learn how to increase our LinkedIn social selling index. So that's establishing your professional brand, which was number 1, session 1, and number 2 is finding the right people. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a lot today about using the search features and 5 or 6 different ways that it can really, really help us grow our businesses. Okay. So the first one we're going to play with is the My Network button. People we already know that can pay us money. Okay. So I'll say that already. I'll say it again. People we already know that can pay us money. Over our careers, it could be a 1-year, 5-year, 10-year, 30-year career. You have built a lot of relationships. But the thing that we all fail to do is sometimes maintain them or engage people that we've already known and already had presented to, and they already know who we are. So these are people that we forgot about, right? And that we want to come back and say hi to. And some people just could be, hey, we forgot them over the pandemic and we need to reconnect. They may have switched jobs and we don't have their numbers. We don't have their email addresses. But because we exchanged digital business cards, we connect it, right? We have a marketing channel that is open, okay? I don't have the number, I don't have the email address, but I'm connected. So that means we can hit this message button right here and we can actually message people, okay? So the way that I teach this is if you're kind of want to have a minimum approach is I believe you have 5 meetings each month of people that you need to reach out to and say hi to that can pay you money that you forgot to. So that could be 60 meetings a year for you, right? So that's the minimum in the way that I look at it. But let's just go search with filters, right? So who do we know? And this depends on every level you're at. So if you're a broker, it's different. If you're an end user, it's different. If you're a furniture vendor, it's different. Architecture firm, PM firm, everybody has different levels of people they want to meet. Some people may want to meet influencers. Some people may want to end users, both. And there's different categories. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the first thing we want to do is go to all filters. Okay. So my network, who do we already know? Go to all filters. And inside here, you can just go down to the very bottom if you like and type in different titles of people you know. You can do it by certain locations, certain companies, certain schools, and we'll kind of go through each of these as we go. But the first thing we can do is we can come in and type in director of real estate, okay? And we can say, who do we already know, right? So 189. So I'll go through and, oh, Linda Frazier, I met with her in the past. Let me reconnect with her. Let me go through and say, oh, I haven't really talked to Mark in a while, but I was on the board with him in Cornet and Philly. Let me reach out to him, right? So you're just going to be going through people you already know, right? People you've already met with. Oh, I don't really know Keith that well, but I met him at an event at a Subaru headquarter event for Cornet. I should reach out to him and kind of try to reconnect. You may go through and see that people have switched jobs and you may want to reach out that way as well. But you just kind of want to go through all the people you already have met at some point in your career, but forgot to say hi to. There's a lot of money just being left on the table if you don't do this, right? Because you already spent the time building the relationship in some way. One of the things to remember is that LinkedIn is a dirty system, okay? It's not a perfect filtered system. It gets you most of the way there. So I have 28,000 connections. This brought it down to 189, okay? Not all of them are the perfect people based off of that title that I put in, because LinkedIn's only taking what other people give it and giving the results back, okay? So you do need to clean it, but you could go through and be like, you know, hey, I don't really know this person this well. I can message them if I like to. We met a while ago at a Cornet event. Let me see if they're interested in catching up via Zoom or going for coffee or whatever you guys like to do. But it is just important not to forget all the people you've met over your career. But there's other people like Rhonda. Rhonda's a really good friend of mine. We talk on the phone all the time. She's been to my house. We hang out with each other's kids. And she heads up PHMC's real estate in Philly, right? I would never message her through LinkedIn. Okay. I would call her. I'd pick up the phone and say hi. So if there's people that you know that you can pick up the phone and you can email, you should always do that first. I like to say the whole point of LinkedIn is to get off of LinkedIn. We don't play on it, right? It's a sales tool. So you want to make sure that you're using it the right way. So if there's people that you're just really good friends with, there's nothing wrong with connecting with them. And then you have people like Marianne, who went to California a few years back when she was at Cornet in New Jersey. And you may just want to touch base, see, what she's happening, what she's up to. So it's just one of these things where you have a lot of people you may already know. You may have people that you may not know that well, but you want to message to see if they want to meet, and you'd be surprised about how effective it is. So to me, that's really important, is to go through kind of step one is to just go through your current connections and use the filters to understand certain titles you want to meet. Now, I'm going to teach this 2 ways today for people that do have Sales Navigator, because I want you guys to understand the value of both. Okay. So there'll be a little bit of back and forth, but I need to have you guys understand the value of this, because it helps with your searching and cuts down and saves you a ton of time. So we're going to do first degree connection again. We're going to do the exact same title. But what we're going to do is something really cool, is we're going to use groups. Okay. So inside groups, I can actually come in here and say, who's a part of Cornet Global? And there's 27 that hit my first degree connections. So from a bonding and rapport standpoint, I can use that from an outreach perspective. So I'm building a first degree connection, director of real estate, Cornet Global, really helps kind of pare down that list from 189 to 27. So there's nothing wrong with using some extra search functionalities. There's also who's changed jobs in the last 90 days. That could help you want to know how to reach out. Who's been posting on LinkedIn, so you know how to engage, and you have different shared experience with. That's going to be the Cornet Global thing. So we want to be able to use Sales Navigator if we can. It's $80 a month. It does help. And then you can also save these things as leads and use it kind of as a CRM in a way to follow up. And there's different reasons for it. I'm not going to get into that today, but it is a valuable functionality. So the same thing, let's say we were not going after end users per se, but we were focusing on more of the vendor functionality. We would want to do the same thing with influencers. So let me do that again. We're going to go back to my network. We're going to go into our connections, and we're going to use search with filters. So inside here, all filters, we may just do it by company. CBRE, JLL, Colliers, Cushman & Wakefield. So who do I know in this? And I may just do show results. So I may have 653 people that I'm connected to that belong to these companies. Again, these are people that have a marketing channel open to, right? Who have I not talked to in a while? Who do I need to connect with? Who do I need to follow up with, right? So what's really important though, is if you're not connected to anybody, none of these filters work. So if you haven't been building your connections through LinkedIn, step one would be to make sure you're connecting with all the people that you forgot to connect with, right? Because then you can't message them, you can't see any of these filters, none of that's going to work. So there's a lot of great functionality around searching to kind of help you just research and think, what is your prospecting strategy that month, that week, that year, to help you build the database you need. You can say, who do I know that's just in New York? Who do I know that's just in the greater Philadelphia market? You can do different things around schools, different industries. You can just do architecture and planning from an industry standpoint or construction, and then different titles as well. So same thing with Sales Navigator, which I find is really cool, is when we use this for, let me pull it up, get rid of this. And if we're going to use the companies again, we'll just use a couple to start. Doesn't really matter. You can say how many years have that person been there, right? Years of experience. So if you want to focus on brokers that have been in the industry for 10 years versus 5 years, if you're looking for younger brokers or older brokers, there's certain things that we can use in Sales Navigator to kind of help us say, I want to know somebody who's been more than 10 years in the industry. Now it's down to 36. So it just kind of helps us understand who we know and kind of using some filters to really help us out. And that's also with the Cornet Global Association. And you can see when that goes away, there's more that are a part of that. And again, you can kind of search it and you can save different people in as well. So So does anybody have any questions on engaging and leveraging your first degree connections? Nope. All right. So to me, a lot of money just sitting there, people you know, influencers you know, people have changed jobs, you don't have their contact information, people that you just want to reach out to, you only know a little bit, but we need to really start following up and kind of using this search functionality to decide who are we going to call, who do we need to follow up with that can possibly pay us money or help us grow our business. Now, the second part is my favorite part. This one's the hardest for everybody to do, but if you can start doing this, you'll significantly grow your business. And that's just how it works, right? And when I'm going to say it, it's going to sound pretty easy, but nobody does it for some odd reason. And I believe it comes down to confidence. I believe you're not going to have the confidence to do what I'm going to teach, okay? So Rob is a client of mine. He is a broker in New Mexico, and he likes me. And again, everything I teach only works if people like you. If people don't like you, nothing that I teach works, right? So there is that like one big caveat there. People have to like you. So not everybody allows you to see their connections. You do have to be first degree. And then even if you are first degree, they can turn this off. So that is something to be aware of. But if Rob likes you, Rob is willing to help you grow your business. But Rob does not know how. Rob's job is not to think of you and think every day, hey, Nick needs to meet this person. But if you told Rob who you want to meet, he'd be more than happy to help you, okay? And how to ask is very, very important, all right? So we're going to go through his connections, and we're going to go to all filters. Now, I work 95%, 90% of my clients are commercial real estate brokers. So I would say, hey, I want to meet people from Colliers, let's say, and I may want to see who he's connected to. And he's got 6. So I may call Rob. Now, me and Rob flew to Indianapolis together. We went to the Indianapolis 500. You know, we're good friends, and he'd be more than happy to help me, right? And so I'd say, hey, I see you're connected to Tom, right? And don't worry about where they're located. I'm just teaching it generically, right? Hey, can you set up a golf outing for me, you, and Tom? He'd love to hang out with his friend Tom, right? Hey, I see you're connected to Jim. Could you set up a dinner for us? Could you set up a lunch? Could you set up a coffee? Could you just do an email introduction? Could you just give me their number and let me drop your name? You just have their contact information, right? So your client, your friend Rob, wants to help you. He just doesn't know how. And it's not his job to think about you. But there's a lot of people that would significantly introduce you to people, and lots of people if you would only ask. And I can promise you, the only reason why you don't do this is because you don't have confidence to do it. You may not think your service you did for that client's good enough, or whatever reason, you don't think they want to help you. But as long as they like you, they're going to want to help you. They just don't know how. So it's your job to create the list and have a conversation with them, right? So they may not know all these people real well. So you may have to also take them to dinner or golfing to make that ask, right? It may just be a text. It may just be an email. How you ask depends on your relationship with your past and current client. I don't know that relationship, so I can't tell you specifically how to do it. Some people, it has to be in person. Some people could just be over Zoom. Some people, as I say, it could just be a text or an email. But how you make the ask is very important depending on your relationship with that person, okay? But if each of you did 12 new clients a year and they each introduced you to one new possible CFO, COO, director of real estate, another person, that could be 12 meetings with people that can pay you money just by asking for an introduction to the right person. Now, the reason why that other person's probably going to hire you is because you're being brought in from a bonding and rapport standpoint of a past client, which gives you so much credibility. So there's other ways to get meetings, but this is the most effective because there's an instant trust that's created when a past or current client introduces you to another person of the same level. So you're not going from a lower level up, you're going to CEO to CEO, CFO to CFO. And so for brokers, what I find interesting is that their job a lot of times is just to build their network and be there over time. So they may need to meet a CFO, and that CFO, they may not ever get hired for 2 to 3 years, right? So they may just have to go golfing with other CEOs of similar sized companies that they determine based off of looking at CoStar or looking at different types of databases, or looking at Sales Navigator and looking at company sizes and headcounts and managing partners of law firms. They may need to have to network in a little bit different of a way than somebody who has a lead created by the broker, right? And then you're looking for that specific intro because you know that project's in the market and the architect's already hired and you're a furniture vendor, right? So everybody has different levels of ask, and everybody has different types of introductions they're looking for. Some people just want influencer introductions, right? I just did a job with this broker. I want him to introduce me to other brokers in his company. I want him to introduce me to other PMs in his company. So the type of ask really depends on what you're looking for and how you want to use your influencer network to grow your influencer network to get opportunities, and how you want your end users to help you get more end user opportunities and types of meetings that you want. So we just can't forget that our past and current clients do want to help us. They just don't know how. And you'd be amazed how many people will help you if you ask. Now, one of the things that can help you gain confidence in this is to start by asking them for a testimonial or recommendation on LinkedIn, like we talked about in establishing your professional brand. Because if somebody is willing to write you a recommendation, they're probably willing to introduce you to their network. So if you're not sure, you should just ask them to write you a recommendation. That can really help you understand, did you bring value? And then that also can help with you understanding how comfortable you feel of asking for introductions. The other side of it, which to me is really important, is that you want to do this not today, right? You want to do this as part of your sales process as you close deals, as you finish projects, right? So you can go back and do this to all your past and current clients you've ever had, but it's more effective right after you complete that deal, right after you get that lease signed, right after that project's complete. You can get the project photos, post about it. You can ask for that recommendation, get that on your profile, and then you can ask for introductions to their network. So if you did them 3 steps where you highlighted your great work, you got somebody to tell you did a good job, and then you got somebody to introduce you to your network, and you just did that after every deal and project, you would significantly increase your business. You would significantly increase your opportunities just by following that simple sales process. And if that doesn't mean if you're a BD person or a principal at a firm or a project manager, whoever you are, you can still do them sales activities. And it could really, really help you in a lot of ways. But you just have to get that confidence to make sure that you're accomplishing them 3 steps. Does anybody have questions on that part, on leveraging your past and current clients? Oh, all right. So this is the one that is harder that we're going to talk about today. It really depends on kind of how you built your prospect list and how you define what a lead is and what you're really looking for. So the way that I look at it is, if you have a tenant in the market list and you're working off that, this is great when we're searching for what I call people and companies, right? And we're going to be leveraging our entire network, everybody we're connected to. So you can use that. You can build a database based off of company sizes. As I said, you can base them off of CoStar data. You can base them off of Zoom info data. You can build databases in any way you can of people that you want to prospect. You can take a coordinate directory and user list, right? It doesn't matter. But this is probably the thing you're going to use the most on a daily basis, a weekly basis, and a monthly basis, is searching people and companies and leveraging your entire network for introductions. So I use this first example because it's easy and it's kind of fun. I use it a lot, but I just like it to explain that anybody can help you. And then we'll get into more specific, more realistic ones. So the reason why I like this Netflix one was because I was working with a client one time, and we looked at who the employees were, and we wanted to find who the chief marketing officer was. So you can go through, you can see that they're here, you can search them. And the lady's connection was a priest that her husband was best friends with. So you never know who in your network could make an introduction to a CMO of Netflix, right? And I like to call this cold calling for introductions, because what you're going to see is that not everybody knows everybody, but cold calling is a lot harder than cold calling for introductions. So when we kind of look through this and we are trying to meet certain people at different companies, you may have 100 mutual connections. I use this example as well because this is a true story. You want to, when you're looking to hire somebody, when this company was looking to hire somebody, they posted on CoreNet on the board, and I saw that. So I went on and saw who their employees were, and I saw that Richard was their CEO. So I saw who Richard was. I saw that he had 23 mutual connections with me, or 25. And I went through and I looked through who I was connected to, and I saw Matt. I was connected to Matt. So I sent Matt an email. And I say, hey, Matt, I see you're connected to Richard. Do you know him well? Would you mind making an email introduction? And he made the email introduction, and I was able to help them hire a BD person in New York. So I used my entire network of searching to see who was a second degree connection to make an introduction, right? Now, this company was in Canada. I would have no chance of getting the contract to help, but I used my entire network, and I used the search functionality of LinkedIn to even identify who the decision maker was, and then who in my network can help me get there. Now, again, this is not a confidence thing, I would say, but this is more how strong you are as a networker. This is more of that give or gain mentality, right? Where how much have you given to your network over the years? So how much can you get back, right? So when you ask Matt something, is he willing to make that intro, right? So it's more, does he know that person well? And is he willing? How well do you know all these people? Who is really able to help you? And then making that decision of who you ask. So you would never reach out, and you would never reach out to all of these people, okay? It wouldn't make sense. You would do one at a time. You would just never reach out kind of holistically. Hey, who can make an intro? And then you get 50 intros. That's not how it works. You're being like respectable in your ask, and you're just kind of asking one person, hearing yes or no. You can call the person, you can text the person, you can email the person. But you have to be careful because people have what I would say is limited introductions as well, depending on your relationships. So some people will make 100 introductions for you. Some people will only make one. And also the level of introduction is very, very important when you're searching for people and companies, right? So if you're trying to get to a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you're going to need somebody with the power to get you that meeting, right? It just doesn't work as simple as, hey, I need you to do an email intro and get me a meeting with that CEO of that really powerful company. You need another really powerful person to get that meeting. So you may want to save that person for later, right? Versus kind of cashing in your chip. One of the things that I really like is I like working with older commercial real estate brokers. The reason why is I feel like they're the most successful because they've built all this goodwill and all these relationships over the years, but they've never cashed in their chips. So if you feel like you're somebody who's never cashed in your chips, this is a great time to do so by leveraging your entire network, all of your goodwill to get meetings with the right people you want to meet with. All you have to do is just kind of come into the search bar, type in any company that you want to meet with. It doesn't matter if it's Comcast you're trying to meet with. You can go through, you can search who the employees are. You can go to all filters. If you're looking for directors of real estate or facilities managers or CEOs or CFOs, whoever you're looking for, you can see who your connections are and you can ask them to make introductions for you. There was a really cool thing that happened to me. I guess it's like 7 years ago now, where there was two companies that I wanted to meet. Both of them were heads of real estate, one for the Franklin Mint and the other for CDI. And I'm still friends with Peggy Reyes, who was at CDI, which is funny. And Brian Broxton, I'm still friends with as well. He actually opened also a beer distributor called Locust Lane. But what was funny is the person who made the introduction for me was a guy who did corporate housing. I didn't you never know who in your network could make that intro as well. So that's one thing to be just kind of aware of. Your entire network could help you get to the right person. You don't know who plays on the same softball team with each other on Sundays. You don't know who their kids play baseball together. you know, whatever it is, you don't know the connection, who goes to church together. You don't know how people are friends and how people can help you. So keep that in mind as well, is if you have connections, it's okay just to ask and say, hey, I see you're connected. Do you think you could help me out? And you just got to remember is there's a limit to it depending on your relationship with them and their relationship with the other person. And how you ask, as I said, is also important, just like the first part, where you could say, hey, do you mind asking your friend if we all could go golfing? Do you mind asking if your friend we all could go to dinner? Do you mind asking your friend if we could all get coffee? Do you mind if we all, you know, get together for lunch? Do you mind just doing an email intro? Do you mind just give me the number? There's a guy down in Philly. He's the head of capital projects down there. And he always likes to have coffee at 8 a.m. at Saxby's Coffee for his meetings. What information do you know? Who do they already use? Your network could also help you just gather information as you go along as well. They can provide you with email addresses and phone numbers, even if they can't make that intro. So don't forget, is the network could help you gather information and help you grow kind of your strategy to getting that meeting, even if you can't get an introduction. It's just really powerful to leverage your network. Your network, again, wants to help you just like your past and current clients want to help you. They just don't wake up every day thinking about you, and they just don't know how. So we just want to keep that in mind, you know, as we go through and we get a tenant in the market list. I always believe your first step should be coming on LinkedIn, typing in the companies that are in the market, or wherever you built your prospect list, wherever your lead list from, and seeing, you know, who the person is, using the search functionalities to search different titles. One of the things that I'll show you later on when we build a prospect list is, you know, how Sales Navigator can make it cleaner. But we always want to go through things and kind of break it down. There's one company that I'll show you real quick. This is a small one. So they have 111 employees, right? So let's say they were in the market for whatever reason, and we went to all filters. And we can search it who we know that are first degrees, like Mitch Kaplan, who's like the main decision maker there. We can search it also by title. Now, one of the cool things about law firms is we know that partners are useless. Only the managing partners are valuable, right? So you come down here, managing partner, and you can search who they are. Oh, let me see why that didn't work. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Managing partner. So they may not use that title. So that may not work. But we would go through and find out, you know, who the decision maker is. We can try office manager if that comes up as well. And you got Nancy. Nancy's awesome, by the way. But, you know, and kind of using the filters to identify people. But we really want to identify and then see who our shared connections are and see who can make intros if we don't know who they are. Do you guys have any questions about searching for people or companies and looking for your network who can help make an introduction? Anybody have any questions on that? All right. So this one's my favorite from just a more of a fun standpoint. John, where did you go to college? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm off mute. Loyola, well, they changed the name, but Loyola in Maryland.
All right, we'll use something more generic then. I'm going to use...
It'll come up. I've done it before.
No, I'm going to use one that I think will have more directors of real estate with it. All right, so I'm going to use, let's see. Seems like it's a little, let me stop sharing and get started again. Looks like it froze a little bit on me. All right, there we go. So we're going to search people. We're going to search all filters. Looks like it's a little slow. Struggling a little bit here. Let me stop my video. I may do it this way because that seems like it's struggling a little bit. But let's just use the school, for instance, of Penn State. All right. And we're going to get rid of our first degree connections. We're going to get rid of years of experience, and we're going to get rid of all this stuff right here. So let's say we wanted to create a bonding and rapport for like a cold calling or an outreach strategy around titles of director of real estate that are part of Penn State. So we get 176. And you can merge this with like a Zoom info database or other cold calling or email marketing strategies. There was a guy that works for a company that the broker went to Penn State and the director of real estate went to Penn State. And I made the email introduction with the heading, alumni introduction, Penn State. And so people are willing to meet with you if they have something to bond over. So I would never call John and say, hey, John, my name's Nick from Amplify. Can I sell you LinkedIn services? He would hang up the phone so quick. It'd just be a click, right? But if I called John and said, hey, John, I see we both went to Loyola. He would let me say whatever I want next. He may hang up afterwards, but at least I would get the chance to tell my story quickly, right? So we really want to use our education to create bonding and rapport with people we want to meet and create a strategy to get meetings. You'd be amazed how many people will just meet with you just because they can bond with you over something like your education. I do think everybody should be a part of their alumni groups, either for colleges or for high schools. I think it's a great way to grow your network. And it's a great way to just kind of really help you grow your business as well. But, if you're trying to meet, David Thomas and he's at the Estee Lauder companies and you guys both went to Penn State, could really help if that's something that's important to him. Or somebody at Comcast or Wellspan or Harvest or Floor & Decor. So we really want to build these lists. Now, doing it in Sales Navigator is kind of cool for me. And this is something I'll teach you guys for those that have it. This select all button is a little confusing. You think when you click this, you'd be selecting 176. You're not. You're only actually saving that one page, which is 25. So you would have to save each list. I also don't recommend using the select all feature because LinkedIn's also a dirty system in a way because you don't know exactly who you want to meet. I'd recommend you wouldn't save all 176 based off of this search term. I'd recommend you did your research. I feel like one of the big gaps with a lot of sales is that we don't do enough research and focus on the right people. So make sure you want to focus on Miller's Ale House before you go out and ask for an introduction or cold call and try to get a meeting. But then we can save that as a list, Penn State directors of real estate. So we don't have to go back and do the research. You can also put this into your Salesforce or your HubSpot or your Microsoft Dynamics CRM. But we really want to make sure that when we do the research and we spend all this time filtering down, we're having a place to record and save the data. So we don't have to go back and do the research every time. To me, that's probably the hardest part for people is to do that. Now, building these lists for education is pretty simple. As you just saw, you're just using the school and you're just using the titles. But I think it's a great way to create really good prospect lists around that bonding and rapport that we talked about. So I'm going to try to go back here to see if this is working again. I don't know why it kind of froze on me.
Nick, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So let's say you create this list of people who you're connected with who have this role at a college. And then you want to see how many of them are actually really active on LinkedIn. And what I mean by that is they're posting, they're engaging. Is there a way through a saved list to be able to
great question. Remember, these people don't work at the college. They went to the college.
So perfect. And whatever the list is. So let's just say this list.
Right here, do you see where it says 23 posted on LinkedIn in the past 30 days?
Yep.
So this creates a list of people who have posted in the last 30 days out of the 176. And then also when you have your leads list, you can actually create these lists that you save, and then you can get alerts on when somebody shared a post. There's also some pretty cool ways if for whatever reason that this section isn't working for me the way that I need it to. I also like to tell people I did not build LinkedIn, right? So, but you could go into post, and then inside post, you can go post it by, and you can go first degree connections. I don't love this way. It doesn't work that great. But it also at least gives you a generic list of which of your first degree connections I've posted, but it's all of them. and it could give you too many. And even if they've done it a lot in a row, it just keeps putting them in there. But you have like different date posted by, past 24 hours, past week, past month. You have sort by, you have author industry. You can put in real estate, commercial real estate, and you can see certain aspects of it, but it just gives you too much data, if that makes sense, versus the specific people that you want to like the post and comment and engage with. So I teach that in like the building relationships part of our kind of training, but it's a great thing to kind of mention and, you know, how to follow up with them people and engage them, and kind of ask them to connect and grow forward in that way. But it becomes a little bit too much. See how this guy kind of reshared and shows both? It's just too much in my mind to go this way. Does that make sense? All right. So any questions on using your education to create a prospect list from anybody else? All right. So what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to just try it one more time in here, and if not, I'll do it inside just Sales Navigator. Seems like it's working now. All right, here we go. All right. So if we're searching for people, yeah, this thing isn't coming up. We're just going to do it in Sales Navigator. For whatever reason, these dots I can't see. We'll see if it does its thing, but we'll just do it in Sales Navigator today. So when you're building a prospect list, we want to do it a lot of times by geography. This is our most important kind of component. So let's just say it was the New York City metro area. Okay. So we're going to start with this. And what we're going to do is when we kind of go through, we're just going to kind of fill out this form essentially. So one of my favorites to teach is law practice. Okay. So the city, New York, industry is law practice. I'm not doing relationship, but you could if you're only looking for introductions. So who do I know that's a second degree? That's up to you. You could say, I only want to build a prospect list where I can get introductions. Again, up to you. All right. And then you may go down here and you may type in managing partner. All right. So what I love about Sales Navigator is it gives me the city, the law practice, and the title, but it also lets me do the company headcount because you can see there's 1.5, right? So I may only want to focus on companies that have 50 to 200 employees, okay? Or I may only want to do anything that's above that, and I search that. Now, LinkedIn's a dirty system, and I can't say that enough. So what I recommend you do is you hover over the company. If something comes up, sometimes it doesn't. If nothing comes up, that means the company's not real or it's not built out in a way. You come into the employees and you click it, and you can see they have 176 employees. I like to say this number is accurate by plus or minus 10%, okay? Because you don't say you work somewhere unless you do, and you have the people that just forgot to kind of take it off, okay? So it should be pretty accurate. But this company then can be saved, and you can go through and you can save that managing partner, you can save an account list, and you can go through and just say, okay, look at this one. Is this one accurate? Again, research as a salesperson is really important. So we said 50 to 200, this gives me 60. So these really help us build a really good prospect list of law firms that we want to target. And you can go through and just keep checking and saving. And then when you're done, what we can do is we can then check who our shared connections are. So can any of these people make that introduction where I can get a meeting? Or can I merge this with Zoom info to see if I can use a number or email to reach out? So to me, all of these things are really important. We really want to build the prospect list the right way. I love doing law firms because managing partners are so easy, but you can also do any companies, any size, any location. You can do different seniority levels where we just have owner, partners, CXOs, VPs. You can pick multiple titles. One of my favorites, though, which is fun to teach, it's not my favorite thing about LinkedIn, but it's just a teaching thing, is they have a thing called Buoyant terms when searching. And again, this will really show how LinkedIn's a dirty system, is the title president. So if you're searching for presidents on LinkedIn, there's 400,000 in New York, all right? Now, the problem is they're going to put in a lot of vice presidents because LinkedIn's a dirty system. So if I type in the word not in the keyword and the word vice, it gets rid of all the words vice president and took it down to 170 for 400,000. You're just left with presidents. So sometimes you have to use the Buoyant terms to clean the list. It's kind of weird in that nature, but we do have to use that functionality. And I'm sorry for anybody who wanted me to do this more in the regular search. LinkedIn says this one's our fault. We're looking into it. We filed a report for this error, so I can't teach it in regular search today. But as I said, I didn't build LinkedIn and I don't control it. So they're having some technical issue over there. So I typically leave the last 15 minutes open for questions. If anybody wants to practice, or we can go through things. Do you guys have any questions about what we just talked about today? Everybody's a rock star at it. So what I can do real quick with you guys is we'll recap it and we'll talk a little bit about next week. And if you guys have questions, please interrupt.
I think, hey, Nick, I think I have one people may be afraid to ask is how do you thread that line between being professionally persistent from being annoying?
Yeah, you're not going to thread it. You're only going to engage people that you already know and like and that want to help you. So you don't do anything that you feel is uncomfortable. So you always just act respectfully. And as long as you're respectful, you're fine. So I think the line is the people who over pitch and you're not offering anything, right? Like if I get an email, a message from somebody that's like 4 paragraphs long, I don't want to talk to them. So I like my stuff to be relationship driven, and I would just say people should do the same. All right, so we got about 13 minutes left. We may end a little early if there's no questions, but what I'll do is just kind of recap. So when we think about our LinkedIn social selling index, we're thinking about finding the right people, okay? So when we think about that, we take the perspective of we're looking at our past and current clients, the people we're already connected to, using all of our network to find people and companies we want to meet with, using bonding and rapport around our education, and then just building a prospect list so we can use different types of databases to get meetings. It's really important to remember that, as John just kind of called out, you want to be respectful in a way. Like you don't want to kind of be the annoying person. You don't want to be just blasting, hey, let's meet. You're just following up and seeing if people are engaged. You don't want to ask everybody for introductions every day. A lot of us don't need that much work to hit our sales goals. These techniques are supposed to help you hit your sales goal. So if your goal is to sell $1 million or $10 million or $100 million, you're just using these to help you hit your goal. I like to say, like, if you can make one phone call on January 1st and you can hit your sales goal, you should be able to go on vacation until December 31st and start again the new year. Like, I don't care how you hit your sales goal in my mind, right? So if LinkedIn helps you get one introduction, that helps you get to a director of real estate, that helps you close a deal, that's all that matters, right? Like you're using these tools to help hit a sales goal at the end of the year and help make your life easier. So that's what I want you guys to keep in mind. It's supposed to help you hit a sales goal. It's not there to kind of be a tool that's going to burden you. I fired a guy that I managed one time because he played on LinkedIn too much. You're not supposed to play on it. It's not your job. It's a sales tool. And that's really important to remember.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean by play on LinkedIn? Just elaborate
So,
what you mean.
If you have an employee that says, I'm on LinkedIn all the time, I'm really helping us grow our business. It's like, well, where's your meetings? Where's the leads? Right? Oh, I'm liking all these posts. I'm posting all the time. No, where's your meetings? Right? I'm doing research all the time on LinkedIn. Where's your meetings? Right? It can't just be that I'm spending time posting and spending too much time on it. It should be a small part of your sales strategy, a part of your sales strategy. You still have to go to your networking events and doing everything that you want to do.
So I have a question then.
Yep.
Do you feel with any cold connections that you might have by sort of keeping a steady drumbeat of news of what you're doing, that then you can actually create interest from that person to get to know you better?
We'll
and what's
teach
the
that.
balance?
We're going to teach that in next week. So in engaging with insights, I teach about how to take that and then get meetings from that. But that's a great point.
Yeah, I can actually maybe give an insight view on that. One of the last better meetings I got was actually a cold email message, a LinkedIn message. And I'm more than happy to share you how I did it. It was very simple. I kept it short. I knew what the guy would be interested in. And I also leveraged my experience and one of my colleagues' experience in a way I knew he'd at least say, yes, let's talk. And he's now a client. I can't get into too many details, but I could just say, if you keep it short and sweet and it's relevant, you'd be surprised how many people may respond and say, okay, sure, let me hear what you have to say. If, as Nick pointed out, it's like that 4-paragraph email, which is spam, you're going to get a no. I mean, this guy knew it was to him. It was me to him. It was casual. And it's been, 6 months later, and he's a client still. I don't know if that helps a little bit, but that's just an experience. That's just an anecdote I could say from my own experience. And that was completely cold.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I've had luck with a couple of cold leads actually, and getting a number right away and say, hey, call me and let me know what you're up to kind of scenario. It's just more about this segue from what he was talking about, somebody playing on LinkedIn because he has news to share. And if any of his cold connections then suddenly took interest and engaged in that content to say, hey, maybe it's somebody I really want to work with, but maybe it's all about the type of content you're posting. So it's actually good for the business. So it's that line between personal branding and business branding.
Yeah. So I'll give you a good example of what next week we're going to talk about. So I have a conference in Lake Tahoe in October. It's for commercial real estate brokers. And what I teach is you click the likes, right? So you go in here and you convert your seconds to first, and then you message the people, hey, Ken, thanks for liking my post. It made me think of you. Let's schedule a call to catch up. So it's that type of content. And then as you're converting your seconds to first, we go into the My Network and we check it each week, who recently connected. And then we message them and we'll say to them, hey, thanks for connecting. Let's get to know each other, right? So we're trying to be, I like to say the whole thing we're trying to do is act like we're normally networking as we would in person respectfully, but just doing it socially. You never want to be that person that's annoying. Any other questions? Guys are full of questions today. So next week for everybody is we're going to talk about engaging with insights. And to me, that's all about posting. So we're going to learn how to create a LinkedIn posting strategy. I don't think that you don't post on LinkedIn because you don't know how. We all can upload a picture. We all can do some text, but we don't have a strategy. So I like to believe that you don't post more than twice a week on LinkedIn because I think you're kind of annoying. It's just like if you sent me too many emails, right? I can't like everything you post or you think that I'm stalking you, right? It's kind of weird. If you kept posting, I kept liking. So you get less engagement if you over post. So to me, it's really important to have a strategy and post things that are going to be engaging to your connections. So when I like people to have a holistic brand on LinkedIn, I like them to have a brand that includes their company, but their role within it, their education, their community involvement, their associations and the events that they attend, and then the industry publications. And then we take these numbers and we break them down. If I'm going to post every other week, 26 times a year, what is that going to be? 2 posts a month, right? If I'm going to post 52 times a year, what's my 1 post a week? Or if it's 104 times a year, what are my 2 posts a week? And then we create that strategy. I believe half your posts are about your role within your company, and then you break down the other numbers within. And then we have to learn how to use tagging and hashtagging properly. And then how to engage people by sending them that post. which is a whole really cool thing that we can do as well to kind of get engagement. But also just learning how to post, like uploading videos is a little confusing, how to add a thumbnail instead of having that black screen, why you should never post 2 pictures because it splits the screen in half, how to write articles and why you should have the right graphics to engage people to come in, how some links don't work and why we shouldn't post them. And I think the one that everybody's surprised about, why you should never share company content, but you should post it yourself. LinkedIn's algorithm gives it no value. So what you'll see is when you actually share a company post, and I can show you guys the example real quick for those that are interested. Let me just pull it up. Because I think everybody's like, they don't want to leave on that hanger of why you shouldn't share company content. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so this is sharing versus posting. Okay, so this post right here is a marketing company that I worked with in New York, and I helped them significantly increase their engagement on LinkedIn. So you can see that she shared a company page and she's the president. So they did this work for the National Geographic and she got 4 likes, okay? She did the exact same post and she got 46 likes, but she posted it herself. Does that make sense to everybody? So she didn't share the company page. So when we do a post, it's always real easy just to hit share. And we think that it has value, but LinkedIn doesn't give it any value and they don't put it in front of your audience and connection. So it always gets very little views and very little likes. Some people beat the algorithm. It's very rare. I've seen some people do it, but the reality is most people, when they share the company content, think they're actually doing good, but they're actually hurting their self from actually really sharing content the right way because LinkedIn doesn't consider it any value.
Now, do you think that's a recent phenomenon where these algorithms keep changing year to year? Or have you seen that consistent like in the last 2 or 3 years?
Been super consistent. Yeah. Because LinkedIn wants you to post. The share helps the person who posted it, but it doesn't help you.
So how would you repost or put it from yourself versus your company?
You're going to have to come back next month. Now, it's that simple. I'll show you real quick. So mainly you're just going to take the graphic essentially, and you'll just save these things to like your desktop. And it's just going to be a graphic.
You're not sharing your screen right
now. Sorry.
Start completely over.
Yeah, mainly you're just going to save the graphic from wherever it is, whatever the content is. You'll just save it as an image, and then you're just going to be posting it yourself. So, or if it's a link, you just post the link yourself. So you're just going in there and just creating it as your own post versus as a company post. So it's just as simple as just recreating the content in a way that allows you to post it. So you just can't hit share essentially. LinkedIn's a little weird today. It's going slow. Apologize.
That's good to know because to your point, I've been resharing thinking that. Yeah.
I worked with an architecture firm. They had about 700 people, significantly help them change their strategy and grow their likes and views. Because I don't mean to say this the wrong way. And if anybody wants to take it the wrong way, feel free. I'm a sales guy. I'm not a marketing guy, right? So a lot of marketing people are taught marketing things and they teach companies marketing techniques that they learn. So things that I do are coming more from a sales side. So, and most people teach company pages and what they're teaching helps the company pages. I don't teach company pages. I could care less about your company page because your audience isn't there and it's not helping you grow your business, right? And it's very hard to grow a following around a company page. So I think it's really important for your own personal brands to get meetings and grow your business for you to help yourself. So
yeah, and I've always said that people connect with people,
not companies.
Exactly. But there is a kind of a balance. It's just figuring out your strategy.
Now the companies still should share content for sure, right? Like they should still try to grow it. It's just very hard to build the right company content and pages. And the employees still should be liking and commenting and growing and helping the company page grow. It's just they also have to look at their own brand. And I like to really stress it's your role within the company. That's the most important because your connections don't care specifically about the company. They care about your role within it. So we're all going to learn how to create a strategy next week. I hope you guys come with more questions for me. I like things to be interactive if we could. So next week, if we could do that, that'd be great. But I hope you guys enjoyed today. And sorry that LinkedIn from the regular search didn't work for some of the functionality at the end, but I didn't build it and I don't maintain it either. So yeah.
That was great, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Hallie.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. See you, everybody.
Yes, thank you.